The stories that I appreciate the most are the stories that my parents tell me about who they were, back in Liberia. Like, what did they used to do by the beach, and where they went to school? What are some of the day-to-day things that they did? Loving yourself first always helps with loving someone else.
Happy New Year, New Year Reelers! I've interviewed a few directors. I've interviewed Lisa Hammer, Andrew Lau, and we are deep into this topic of movies.
Taking a selfie?
I'm recording a pre-roll. And it's so cold that my hands freezing. Recording the pre-roll for this episode related to film, and I ran into my filmmaker friends. How cool is that? For a lot of us, if we really enjoy going to a film festival, we're probably planning to go again the year after. Not for my guest in this episode. She actually enjoyed Kweighbaye Film Festival so much that she started her own festival in Bushwick. Besides starting the Bushwick Film Festival, she also has started her second business, and she's now a small business consultant. She has a lot of experience in building a company from the ground up. She's what we call an entrepreneur. She's an artist and an entrepreneur. In this interview, you see that the conversation between us was like two girlfriends having a chat. There's a lot of good information and a lot of good advice. Remember, as Ty Lopez said, winter is the perfect time to read, to learn, to sharpen your knives. From learning from London Reel and last year's New York Reel guests, I realized that as long as we set the right direction, you don't have to have crazy New Year's goals. Just keep on moving and keep on working, trying to be the best version of ourselves. Good luck with whatever you're working on in 2016. And enjoy my episode with Kweighbaye Kotee. This is New York Reel. I'm Olive. Today my guest is Kweighbaye Kotee. You are the founder of Bushwick Film Festival. You're the director of Bushwick Diaries, which is a full-length documentary. And congratulations on the Kickstarter campaign.
Thank you.
Welcome to New York Reel.
I'm so happy to be a guest of the show, Olive. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being on the show. So, from what I know, you live in Bushwick for 9 years.
I do. I'm a Bushwick resident for 9 years, and I'm very proud of it.
It's a lot longer than most of us.
It's very long. It's funny, my neighbor, who I hadn't met yet until yesterday, she walked down and she's like, "Hey, we haven't met yet. How long have you been living here?" Because I've been living in this apartment for 6 years.
Really?
And she was like, "That is a very, very long time." And I was like, yikes. I kind of felt like I told her I was 80 years old.
Has she been here?
She's been living here for maybe like 6 months in the building.
Okay.
But I was like, wow, I guess it is pretty shocking for anyone to live in the same place for a long period of time in New York City.
That means you like it.
Yeah.
And you were here to see the transition.
I was here. I was here to see one phase of transition. It's funny when people talk about change in neighborhoods. It's definitely like a ebb and flow sort of thing. So I was here to see the 10-year, the 10-year evolution of Bushwick. But I mean, before I got here, there was another evolution and all that.
So how was your 10 years?
Yeah. How was my 10 years? My 10 years was great. I mean, when I moved here, I was like 23 or something, full of like entrepreneur fire. Kind of still have that, obviously, but I was just like, ready to start something new, right out of college. Didn't really want to work for anybody, and I felt like at that time Bushwick was a place to start something new and take risks. So me and my friends, did that.
Yeah. That's amazing. So I know that you are obviously a filmmaker. Mm-hmm. You have found this film festival. You're an artist. You dance. I saw something about music on your site too, coming soon. How much can you tell us?
Well, I live a creative life,
Yes.
And it's funny, I really enjoy living a creative life. Like every part about my life, I try to make sure that I'm either writing, reading, which is also a part of, creativity, filming, just, contributing to other people's projects, giving my feedback and ideas. And, I try to do a holistic, creative life as much as I can. I also play the violin. I'm not good, but I mean, that's a part of my life of, just making sure that, not making sure, but wanting that every part of my life to be, very, very creative. I said that like 10 times.
No, I love it because I mean, what other words can we come up to to describe that? Like the process of making something from nothing to something, just based on what you envision.
Yeah.
Tell us about Bushwick Diaries.
The Bushwick Diaries.
Yes.
Bushwick Diaries is one of my newest projects. I've been working on it for the past year and a half, and the idea to, I just had a successful Kickstarter, which was incredible. I never, out of all the things or projects or things that I create, that was probably the most grueling 30 days of my life. Like having to pretty much hound people and, get people behind, get their energy, get them, mobilized for this project. Anyway, so we had a successful Kickstarter, and I've been working on it for the past year and a half, and it's a documentary about Bushwick. It's about the people that live here. It's about the people that I've encountered over my decade of living here, and it's also about a neighborhood in change, a neighborhood in fast change, not just any type of change. Things are speeding up pretty quickly around here, and I just kind of wanted to. For me, it's a love story about Bushwick. It's like my love letter to Bushwick and how much I love the community, and it's really impacted my life a lot. So I try my best to focus on people's stories, the people that I meet and the people that I interview. I want to get to know who they are. I want to get to know, what makes them happy, why did they move to Bushwick, what keeps them here, what are they doing here now.
How did you choose who to interview?
Well, I chose... It was a combination of a few things. When I first started shooting, I chose the people that I've seen over the past few years, the people that I already had a relationship with, the people that from the first time I met them, I thought they were really interesting. And then over the past 5, 6, 7 years, I just watched them be very awesome. And so when it was the time for me, when I decided to make the documentary a year and a half ago, I realized that man, I don't know if these people are going to stay around that much longer. And I don't know, I kind of want to capture the spirit and, the times, So of course, those were the first people that I thought about to ask to be in the film. And like I said, I want to really focus on the people's stories. There is a lot of change happening in Bushwick. There's a lot of talk about gentrification, and people are, asking me, are you going to talk about that?
Yeah.
And of course it comes up,
Yes.
But coming from Liberia and from an immigrant background whose family lost their community almost overnight, I appreciate the stories that I appreciate the most are the stories that my parents tell me about who they were, back in Liberia, what did they used to do by the beach and where they went to school and what are some of the day-to-day things that they did, as opposed to hearing a lot about the war or hearing about poverty, the market is very saturated with those sorts of stories, and I really want to focus on the stories that matter, the most, I think. Yeah.
Do you have any memories of you in West Africa when you were younger?
I don't. I don't have that many memories.
Young?
I mean, I was really young when I got here. I was 3 years old. There was a Liberian civil war, and luckily my father worked for the government, so we were able to get political asylum before the actual war erupted. Yeah, it was pretty intense. So I was 3 when I left Africa. We left Liberia first and went to the Ivory Coast, and then we all came here to America. I do remember little images here and there, but sometimes I can't figure out if I'm making up those images based on stories that people tell me. I'm
pictures.
No, not really. Based on pictures, so I don't know if they're my memories, but I do have some images of Liberia, and of course I talk to my brothers and sisters who are a lot older than me. I'm the last of 7 children.
Oh. Wow.
So I have a lot of older sisters that, I hear bits and pieces about it. But personally, I don't have any, lifetime experience in Liberia. I do have experience being a Liberian because the Liberian community is pretty strong. And when most of us came here, we all stayed like in our community, But yeah, I do plan to go back next year with my mom.
And have you been back ever?
I haven't been back ever since. So when I go back with my mom next year, it's going to be 10 years. It's going to be 10 years. No, what am I talking about?
Wait.
I mean, 30 years. 30 years. I was like 10 years. That doesn't make any sense. Did I move from Liberia to Bushwick? No. So when I go back with my mom, it's going to be 30 years. 30 years since I've been to Liberia.
You're going to bring your camera.
Oh, yeah. I'm totally going to make a documentary about it. Yeah, it's going to be 30 years. And a lot of people ask me, like, why haven't you gone back sooner? The Liberian Civil War didn't end, until about like 10, 12 years ago. And a lot of people weren't that safe, feel that safe going back. And me personally, as a young, like, immigrant girl trying to fit in with American culture, I wasn't that interested in finding out what my background was like or what Liberia was like. So I didn't really have the drive or the desire, actually, I should say, to go back and find out like my roots until maybe 5 years ago,
It makes sense.
Yeah.
We all have a different journey.
Yeah.
Wow. So, do you remember the first film festival that you go to? Or
The first film festival that I've ever attended? Yeah.
Or you remember, reading about it, attending?
Yeah, I mean, I say this all the time, the first film festival that I ever attended was the Kweighbaye Film Festival in New York City. And that was actually what motivated me to start the Bushwick Film Festival, or what inspired me, I should say, to start the Bushwick Film Festival. I just saw, like, what it did for the community, and I always felt so far removed from the process of filmmaking and from the stars and the directors and all that other stuff, that when I went into a film festival and I saw the stars and the directors like in the room with me and just like
and Q&A
and panels, at movie screenings, and I was just like, wow, this is amazing. Like, this is a way to bring the stars to a community. There's lots of power in filmmaking and storytelling and all those things. So that's a way to empower a community. So, I mean, when I first thought about, like, I'm going to start the Bushwick Film Festival, I didn't really think of it in those terms. I don't think I was quite aware of what it meant to empower a community then. But back then, when I first started it, I was just like, this is a very fun, event, and a very, like, lots of energy, lots of people are here. I want to bring that back to Bushwick, But it wasn't until 5 years into it, when I was a lot older and a lot more mature, that I realized, like, oh, this is something that can really have a very strong impact in the community. And that's when I started.
After you
5 years. Yeah, the first 5 years was...
You've done it 8 times, right?
8 times, yeah. The first 5 years was just a lot of fun. It was just like fun. And, I didn't really reach out to the community, and I didn't go to the community board meetings. I didn't really understand what I didn't understand who were the people in the community that, like, that raised the community up, or that, like, really supported the community. For me, it was more like films in Bushwick, not like films that could work with the community in Bushwick. So I learned that, which was fine. And the past 3 years, like, I've really been doing a lot of outreach and things like that.
That is so amazing. Yeah. Do you still know the people that attended your first few
Do I know the first few years? Well, a lot of my friends. So yes, I do know. A lot of people are still on our mailing list, surprisingly. A lot of people are still on our mailing list. A lot of people have followed the growth of the festival. So I do get a lot of emails that's like, Kweighbaye, I was at the first festival at, X, Y, and Z space, and I came here this year and we were in the movie theater. Like, this is awesome. So yeah, there are a lot of people that have been attending the festival year after year, sponsoring the festival year after year, and really seeing the growth of it. Even people that weren't in the first festival, like the second or third festival, they're like, I've been seeing these posters around. Like, maybe I should attend this year.
BFF.
Yeah. So I am very close. I do keep a tab on our audience and how it's grown, and who's our, like, community rally person, and who's our influencers, people that have been from 1 to 8,
Yes.
you know? Yeah, so it's quite interesting, and it's very, I feel like a proud parent sometimes. You know, another thing that really makes me proud actually is the filmmakers, obviously. You know, like I'm obviously like I'm a film lover, a filmmaker lover. I think they're awesome, and I was always a big fan of indie film because the way it just makes me feel, and you know, the stories that you learned with those types of films. So when I see a filmmaker that has submitted to our festival in 2007,
Yes.
and then I see their work again in 2009, and it's just like phenomenal, and I'm like, wow, my little baby has grown. You know, some filmmakers are older than I am, but it's still, I feel like a proud mama when I see like their work progress, you know, over the years.
So you're my last guest of 2015.
Oh my God, what an honor. What an honor.
To wrap the year up with someone that I admire.
Yeah.
What plans do you have in 2016?
Life plans?
Plans in different areas of your life?
I mean, there's a lot happening for me right now.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard for me to just be grateful for it. So, I mean, going into 2016, a lot of things just ended, or just, like I said, started. For example, my Kickstarter campaign was successful, so now I'm going to be making a film.
Mm-hmm.
So 2016, I'll be completing a film.
Yes.
I also am the executive director of an art fund called S.P.A.C.E, which we are still now accepting submissions. I'm not too sure if by the time this goes live, we will be accepting submissions. But S.P.A.C.E is an arts and culture fund in Brooklyn that funds visual arts, performance arts, and cultural events in North Brooklyn communities, including Fort Greene, Park Slope, Williamsburg, Bushwick, of course, you know, Dumbo, and Crown Heights. And what that does is gives people up to $10,000 of funding to produce a creative project or a cultural event or a film or whatever. And the thing that I always say to people is like there's one thing the only thing that I love more than living a creative life is empowering other people to do the same.
Yes.
So this fund was new. I started developing it in April, and now we are just accepting submissions. So in 2016, we're going to be funding a lot of projects, you know, so that's pretty exciting. And so I'm going to be doing a lot of campaigning for that, getting a lot of applications and talking to a lot of artists and community people and finding out like what they want to do and how I can help. So that's great. Yeah, I'm excited. So we have the film, we have the campaign, and then of course the festival is going to be going into its 9th year, which is amazing. And I also want to do a lot of empowerment workshops, like female empowerment, small business coaching workshops.
Right, yes, I do know that you're a coach for small businesses and artists.
Yeah. And you know, I focus a lot on women, of course, but I'm also open to answer anybody's questions on like how to build a business, because I really know how to do it from the ground up. So now moving into 2016, after having a 10-year experience of being an entrepreneur, and now I'm on my second company, I really want to share that knowledge and, you know, tell people how I did it, how I didn't do it, how I did it, how to not do it, and like everything in between. So I was like, okay, now, I mean, usually you probably shouldn't take 10 years, but like, to be honest, it wasn't until 8 years into being an entrepreneur that I actually start seeing results where I could I mean, when I say results, I mean financial results. I mean, there was a lot of great things happening, you know, building a brand, building a community, but it wasn't until like two years ago that I went full time and I could live full time as an entrepreneur. So I guess back then I didn't really feel like, you know, I didn't have that much to share, but now that I've like been able to live as a full-time entrepreneur and I'm on my second company, in 2016, I want to be able to share that information, motivate people, inspire people, you know, help people that can't find work. You know, some people are accidental entrepreneurs, like they can't find a job, you know, like, you know, why wait around? Start a business and I can help you, you know? And so I think, like I said, and then I also have a talk show myself.
Whoa.
Yeah, I have a talk show.
Tell us about it.
It's called Indie Cinema New York. It's just a talk show about the film industry, the independent film industry in New York City. So I interview a bunch of like producers, actors, directors, writers, everything underneath the film umbrella. I invite them to the show, and we talk about, in the industry. We talk about like producing and raising money and how to find actors and etc. So I know that is a lot, but those are the 4 projects that I'm really going to focus on moving forward in 2016.
What an exciting year.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be really fun. It's going to be really fun. Being an entrepreneur is not always fun. It's very hard, right? And there's so many, depressing days that you want to give up, and you don't see any results, and you don't
why didn't you give up?
Yeah, why? Because I could not give up. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
I couldn't quit. I'm not a quitter. Like I know that sounds like very but I have I come from an athletic background. So I have a very competitive spirit about me. I grew up playing basketball. I was like, star basketball player, point guard, woman, and I just have a very, very like I said, competitive edge about me, and I don't like losing, and I don't like quitting, even though that happens sometimes, obviously. But so the thought of failing, didn't really, rub well with me, and I to be honest, I've given up on 1 or 2 dreams before, and having the experience of giving up on a dream and realizing that I didn't have to, that really pushed me to not give up on my 3rd dream, so I have experience of having a dream and then giving up and then regretting it and being sad and depressed that I let that go because of various reasons. But now that I'm on this next dream, I realize that no, you don't have to give up when things get hard. You can keep on going, and it's going to work out.
I remember reading something about dreams. What does it say on your website?
Dreaming big or
cheat self-doubt
cheat on your dream? No, I forget. I have a lot of quotes.
It was like give up or break up with
your fears.
Yeah.
Break up with your fears.
And marry your dreams.
Marry your dreams, yeah. I mean, I really believe that. I really, really do believe that. And to me, like I said, I was a basketball player, and that was a dream of mine that I had until I was 18. And I let that dream go because someone else didn't believe in me, Someone told me that some one person out of the billion people in the universe told me I wasn't good enough. And you know what I did? I accepted that. And it was hard, and looking back, now realizing that no, I'm not going to let anyone tell me that I'm not good enough to do anything. That's just ridiculous. There's billions of people in this planet, that I was just living in a small world then. So I don't really believe you need to give up or have to give up on your dreams, but it is tough. But circling back to what you said about 2016, this year is going to be super fun. Like I said, I'm just really starting to see the plants grow, and it's sort of like you're watering a plant for 10 or 6, 7 years, and you don't even see one leaf yet, but you have faith and you believe that it's going to grow eventually.
Yes.
And then you start seeing it grow, and you're like, holy shit, it's growing. So that's what 2016 feels for me right now, or it's going to be like.
Got it. Yeah. I love it. So, is there any rituals that you stick to? How's your schedule like, say, from Monday to Sunday? Do you work during the week? Do you work also on the weekends?
Yeah, it's funny, I read this article about, women empowered. To be honest, I forgot the woman who it was about, but she said something that really jumped out to me. She said that, people talk a lot about, life-work balance, and she's more like life-work integration. And it really, really, made sense to me, because I was like, okay, sometimes it's hard to draw the line. Sometimes it doesn't help to draw the line, So, my life is very integrated with work. A typical day for me is, I wake up really early, I meditate, I pray. I'm not a part of any religious affiliation group, but I do, I pray and I meditate, and I just try to find inner peace to step out into the day. Before I go into the day, I try to find inner peace. But my day is pretty random day to day. Like, for example, today.
Well, you came from a press conference.
Yeah, like for
example. You have a meeting right after this.
Yeah, like for example, today, like we were going to have this interview earlier, but I got a call from one of my investors that, there were going to be a big conference about this project that's happening in Crown Heights that I'm involved with as like the face of the community. And I needed to go. So like I had to move things around. I went to the meeting, to the press conference. It was pretty, like all the council members were there, like the Brooklyn Borough president, Carmelo Anthony is a part of it. So he was there. And so it was just like pretty exciting. And then, an interview with you, with people that, other awesome women that are like doing great things. And then I have a meeting at 4 p.m. about the art fund that I talked about, a project. That I'm trying to get someone to be in a grant panel. And then after that, I have a holiday party with Magnolia Pictures, which is one of the independent filmmakers know them. Like it's one of the really top indie companies in New York City. So it's a lot. It's a lot of emails. I mean, I normally have a full-time assistant, but not for during the holiday time. So it's kind of like managing a crazy calendar
by yourself.
By myself.
You are your own assistant.
Yeah, it's kind of hard.
Own PR person.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, day to day, like I said, I try to start the day off finding inner peace and gratitude. I should have said this. Like I have a gratitude book.
Yes.
Every morning I write a page of what I'm grateful for. Sometimes I write about like what I hope the day would be like. I do a lot of vision work. So like I'll imagine like what I want my life to be like maybe for 5-10 minutes, like in the mornings. And yeah.
I have a journal too. I do the 5-minute journal.
What is that?
Very similar. You write down what you're grateful for, 3 things, and then you write down what will happen today that's going to be awesome. So sometimes you put things down that didn't happen yet, but you're just anticipating.
Okay, that's so cool. So a 5-minute journal, and then you write down 3 things that you're grateful for.
I'll send a link to you.
Okay.
Yeah. And
I'm like, tell me right now.
And at the end of the day, you check in. So you kind of like, that happened, and you look forward to the next one.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll incorporate that in my morning routine. I do a lot of yoga too. A lot of yoga.
Kweighbaye, there are 3 questions I always ask my guests. So question number 1, if you can Skype, FaceTime, or Google Hangout with a 20-year-old Kweighbaye, what would you say to her?
What would I say to 20-year-old Kweighbaye? I was a junior in college then.
Playing basketball.
Sophomore. Not anymore. That dream already, that ship already sailed. I would say love yourself always and without condition. I say this a lot too. So, like give yourself unconditional love. Like if anybody on this planet's going to do that, you should be the one, because without unconditional love, you find yourself beating yourself up. Kicking yourself down, and that's just unhealthy and doesn't really help like your happiness. When I was that age, I beat myself up a lot, like mentally. I always was judging everything I did. Didn't think I was good enough, to be in the company of people or different types of people. So yeah, I think that I would say that, like, love yourself unconditionally, always, and without condition. I said that already, but yeah. Unconditionally, always, and without condition. Yeah, so yeah, love yourself unconditionally. That's what I would tell my 20-year-old self. Yeah.
Great. We should tell ourselves at any time.
All the time. Yeah. I tell myself now, this morning.
Okay, so question number 2. If you can give us some tips, advice on these 4 areas of life: health, wealth, love, and happiness, what would they be?
For health, I would say do yoga. Enroll yourself in a yoga class and experience what that is like for the body. I do believe, obviously, your body is your only tool to get anything done in this planet. So the better you are to your body, the more you can produce. the more great things that come out of it. I don't even know. I don't know. Sorry, I was thinking about sharing something. But be good to your body. Be good to your body. This is the only body you have. You know, a lot of people I know a lot of people that drink too much, that like, you know, lost a battle because of unhealthy living, you know, lung cancer, liver failure. So yeah, I mean, just be good to your body. The more you're good to your body, the more, you know, you can be good to the planet and to the world. So yeah.
So, health, wealth.
Wealth. Amassing large amounts of wealth. No. Well, you know, personally, I mean, I don't have a background of being wealthy. So a lot of things that I learned about money and how to handle it and finances are very new and something that I like had to seek out. The one thing that I could say from business, obviously, is make sure that your overhead is less than your spending. That would be like the number one rule in business. And, you know, I have done many mistakes in the past with like not paying invoices on time for businesses because I just didn't know how to manage my overhead. Like I would, you know, spend a lot of money and then not realize that like, you know, what I was spending wasn't, you know, enough, or what I had left wasn't enough to cover all my expenses. So yeah, I mean, be very, you know, aware of what you're spending and paying invoices on time, because business relationships are very important to keep those up. And so yeah, I would enroll in like maybe like in financial empowerment or awareness class if I can give anyone advice. I do read a lot of like, what is it? Napoleon Hill. Like, you know, I started reading some him. I like Jim Rohn. He's like this older, like white guy that's like how to be successful in life. And he's like really entertaining and great to watch. You know, I would say like, if there's someone that is wealthy that you know, or, you know, you're aware of that's like, you know, famous, whatever, like follow them and, you know, listen to their advice. Yeah. And what else is it? Life?
Health, wealth, love.
Love. Love. Oh God, what can I say about love? You know, I think I would say I've had a few relationships that crashed and burned. And in turn, I've crashed and burned. So what I learned about love personally is that like loving yourself first always helps with loving someone else. So, and I learned that the hard way, you know, like the very hard way. So yeah, I mean, if you are looking for love or in a relationship that you feel that there's not enough love or you're having difficulty loving each other, I would just really say like, really spend some time loving yourself. You know, a friend of mine, her name's Gina, and we were both going through difficult times with our boyfriends at the same time. Yeah. And we both realized that we really needed to have like another crash course of self-love, you know? So if you are like finding right now, experiencing any sort of love drama, or you just broke up, or you're depressed because you think your boyfriend doesn't love you, or you're about to split up, what we did was we did a 30-day self-love journey together. And it was awesome. We really over the course of 30 days, we called each other up, we checked in with each other, and the question we always asked was, what would I do if I loved myself right now? So like that helps you with making a decision. So like if you were about to do something that you're kind of like, you know, just if you ask yourself internally, like, what would I do if I loved myself right now? You would most likely choose an action that showed that you loved yourself, which means that like you would feel better about yourself or whatever would come after that. So we did a 30-day love journey. We called each other. We asked that question to ourselves every day. We shared like very loving videos and books and like quotes and phrases and inspirational things. Yeah. And we always did something that like, we always asked ourselves, what am I going to do to love myself today? So every day we checked in and said, what are you going to do to love yourself today? And then we said, we did something to love ourselves. Because sometimes you go through every day not thinking like, wait, I should do a loving action towards myself.
Yeah. A lot of people giving.
Yeah, and you don't do a loving action towards yourself. So yeah, that's my...
So what happens after the 30 days?
But after the 30 days, it was amazing. We came out feeling stronger. I know I don't want to sound all like weird and crazy, but like our relationships did get better. Like we mended our like... our issues, and we moved forward continuing like that thing, like what am I going to do to love myself today? And you know, and if I love myself, what would I do right now? So yeah, it really helped. And it was, I mean, it's not like we hadn't understood that you should love yourself first, but sometimes you forget.
Yes.
So if you're struggling right now with love, like I would suggest do a 30-day self-love journey and find a friend because Dina's my homegirl, so call a friend up and say, hey, let's do a 30-day self-love journey. Let's do this. So yeah, that would be my advice on love.
That is so cute. You both created this thing together and went
Yeah.
through it. So after 30 days, you probably will remember. It's like a habit developed.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it also helped that both of us got back with our boyfriends. So that helped. But, it wouldn't, I don't think the relationships are always, I feel like personally, it's probably not going to work out if one person doesn't love themselves.
Yeah. Sometimes that is the root of, why it's not working out.
Yeah.
And you think that you don't deserve it and you don't deserve to be happy. Which leads us to the last question, tip, happiness.
Happiness.
Are you a happy person when you wake up?
I am.
Or after you meditate?
Am I a happy person when I wake up? No, I don't think I'm a happy person when I wake up. I'm a little like, when I wake up a lot, I'm just like, oh, life, this is happening. But I am a happy person, obviously. I really enjoy life. I really enjoy friends and family, but a lot of people think that with happiness, like, it just has to come. But I work on my happiness, I know what makes me moody, and I know, like, if I don't do yoga or exercise or eat right or meditate, it takes a lot. I'm not happy. Like, I'm moody, I'm upset, I'm like not nice to people.
But you know what to do.
I know what to
fix
do.
it, and
exactly.
you do it.
Exactly. So I feel like sometimes if happiness is not like just coming to you, if you don't feel happy, like I think that you could take an action to make yourself happy. Like if you aren't feeling that happy and you just get some ice cream and like watch a movie, that's probably not gonna help, But if you call a friend and find out how they're doing, or like go swimming or something that gets your like blood moving. But yeah, I mean, on happiness, I feel like it's something that you have to work at having consistently. And I think that is best when it's shared by other people with you. Share the happiness. So I get really happy when my friends tell me that something awesome is happening in their lives, or like they got an audition, they got a show, they got into a festival, they're like screening here or there. Like I rally behind my friends, and that makes me happy. So I mean, I think happiness is necessary for enjoying life, But I do think you have to work at it, and it doesn't come naturally.
I agree.
Was that good advice?
Yeah, that's a great answer. I sometimes when I'm brutally honest with some people, I say it gets them mad because I said, I feel like sometimes when you're depressed, you're just lazy. Like depression is kind of like laziness.
Yeah.
You can actually do something. You can actually get up and walk around, talk to someone, help someone out, cheer someone up.
Yeah, I mean, I think that talking a little bit about depression, since you threw that out there, I think that like if you can't get, when you're depressed, I don't know if you ever experienced that before, but I have. And,
I have too.
Okay. So it's hard to like mobilize yourself, but I mean, I think the first step is just like calling someone, like if you could just like pick up that phone and be like, hey,
speed dial,
come say hi to me. That would help. And yeah, I mean, sometimes
I don't think bounce the thoughts back and forth instead of just thinking.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that you have to be happy all the time. And I actually don't think that's healthy to be happy all the time. Like, sometimes you need to cry. You need to, like, sit.
Sometimes crying feels good.
Yeah, you need to sit in that and just, like, do your little crying, and a lot of crying if you need to. And sometimes you need to be pissed, and sometimes you need to be assertive. And, like, I don't know if you saw, what's that Pixar movie that just came out?
Oh, yes, Inside Out.
No, Inside Out. Yeah, with the emotions.
With the sadness and joy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I know I'm an indie film woman, but like, I do enjoy my Disney every once in a while, or Pixar. But yeah, I mean, I think that movie explained it the best, where if you don't allow your other emotions time and space, then you just crash and burn, basically,
Yeah, that movie was almost for adults too.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, last question. What is your favorite memory of New York City?
Whoa, that's big because I've been in New York City for 14 years. So
You can share more than one.
My favorite memory. I don't know. I can't. It just feels like 1,000 of memories are just flying through my head right now.
Yeah.
My biggest moments. I mean, freshman year at NYU, at Washington Square Park in the dorms. 9/11 happened. That wasn't my favorite time, obviously, but it was the most dramatic. You know, walking from school and seeing the buildings come down while you're 18, just moving into the city. So that was pretty big. Living in the dorms with my friends. All the friends, my 2 best friends, my 3 best friends. My best friends are all from NYU.
Oh.
I met all of them my freshman year, and we all lived together in the dorm.
First time living outside of your home.
Yeah. So actually, you know what? My favorite time in New York City, I have to say, was my sophomore year in college. All of my best friends lived in the same dorm. And all we used to do was hang out with each other, watch Dave Chappelle or Comedy Central, and just have a really good time together. And literally, I'm thinking all of those girls right now, I went to all of their weddings this year. Yeah, those are probably my favorite times. And then my time in Brooklyn. Yes. Brooklyn was when I rediscovered myself, you know. I was considering moving out of New York City at the time, but then like I discovered Brooklyn.
Yes.
Saw Williamsburg, and I was just like, what is this art community about? Like, there are guitar players like on the corner, and like there's all this like art all around, and these very interesting people that are just like so fearless, you know. So yeah,
you can really be yourself there.
Yeah,
you fit in.
I felt like I fit. Yeah, I found my like tribe, you know, in Brooklyn. And so yeah, I mean, I'll say those 3 things. Freshman year at NYU, sophomore year with all my ladies in the dorm, and when I moved to Brooklyn, when I found my tribe here, and then obviously when I quit my full-time job and became an entrepreneur. When I went full-time entrepreneur life, that was pretty big. Yeah, so.
That's definitely a moment to remember.
Yeah.
That will be it for today. And thank you so much. I had so much fun talking to you.
I did too. I do want to say, I know this is kind of over, but I want to say the woman that inspires me the most.
Oh,
I know
yes.
it's kind of cheesy.
Oh,
my mom.
Shout out to mom.
Shout out to my mom. She is such an awesome and strong woman that took care of her kids so well and gave her so much love despite all
7 of you.
All 7 of us. All 4 of us. all 4 of her kids. But she took care of her kids really well, and yeah, I mean, to experience so much adversity.
Yes.
And keep pushing and just showing love, unconditional love. That really taught me particularly, how to be a woman of like, a woman of love, forgiveness, grace, you know, hard work, commitment, all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, I love strong women, and I love, you know, learning from them and moving forward. And I'm really excited about, you know, this interview. Thank you.
Does she live in New York?
She lives in New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Yeah.
I hope to meet her one day.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for the interview. And how can people reach you?
Well, if you're a filmmaker and you want to have your film in the Bushwick Film Festival, you can email me at my email. It's kkotee@bushwickfilmfestival.com.
Which I will include.
Yes. And yeah, you can email me there, and you will include the Bushwick Film Festival website.
Okay, I will include.
Yeah, bushwickfilmfestival.com. And I also have a personal website for entrepreneurs or small business people. That
I like your personal website.
Yeah, thank you. That are interested in, you know, having an idea and making it a reality, and you know, living your dream. You know, I would definitely be always happy to talk to people if they're interested in learning more about that. So my personal website, which we'll include there.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Oh my God.
You're looking